Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Quantum Quirks, the podcast that brings you the latest and greatest tech and AI news wherever you are, whenever you tune in. I'm your host, Edgar Lombardi, a 56-year-old software engineer who loves all things technology. In today's episode, we're going to talk about 3 amazing news stories that will blow your mind. First, we'll discuss how Amazon's new AI chatbot can generate answers, jokes, and even Jeff Bezos-style tips. Yes, you heard that right. The chatbot, named Alexa 2.0, is powered by a massive neural network that can learn from any text or speech input and produce natural and engaging responses. It can also mimic the voice and personality of famous people, such as Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Next, we'll talk about Mark Zuckerberg's new goal, creating artificial general intelligence, or AGI. AGI is the holy grail of AI research, as it refers to an AI system that can perform any intellectual task that a human can. Zuckerberg, the CEO of Facebook, announced in a blog post that he is dedicating his time and resources to developing AGI, as he believes it will be the key to solving the world's biggest problems, such as climate change, poverty, and disease. Finally, we'll talk about Tim Cook's confirmation that Apple's generative AI features are coming later this year. The CEO of Apple revealed in an interview that Apple has been working on generative AI for a long time, and that it will soon launch some exciting features that will allow users to create their own content using AI. For example, users will be able to generate realistic portraits, landscapes, and abstract art using their iPhone cameras, or compose original songs, poems, and stories using their voice or keyboard. Cook said that these features will unleash the creativity and imagination of millions of people, and that they will be integrated with Apple's existing products and services, such as iPhoto, GarageBand, and iBooks. Keep listening for more details, and don't forget to subscribe and like this podcast on your favorite platform. Thank you for listening, and let's get quirky. Amazon's new AI chatbot generates answers, jokes, and Jeff Bezos-style tips. Amazon is testing a new AI feature in its mobile apps for iOS and Android that lets customers ask specific questions about products. The AI tool can help figure out exactly how big a new shelf is, determine how long a battery will last, or even write you a Christmas carol about snow boots. Yep, the new feature is meant for more practical applications, but it seems the tool will happily respond to more colorful queries too, answering the same questions people occasionally ask AI chatbots when they're bored. Using the questions box on the product page, the box right before customer reviews, you can query Amazon's AI tool about the product. Only some people have access to the feature right now, but some Verge staffers saw it on their apps and found it will respond to more creative prompts. It will write a joke about flashcard readers, make a bedtime story about hard drives, and even describe snow boots in a flirty way. What it won't do is flirt with you. We tried to see how far the AI feature could go outside of its intended zone by prompting it to flirt with us directly instead of describing the product in that way. I apologize, but I do not have personal feelings or engage in flirtatious behavior. Amazon's AI tool responded. Amazon told CNBC it is still testing out the feature. The outlet added that it cannot have conversations or answer questions unrelated to the product, which largely seems to be true. We tried asking the AI tool for a hummus recipe while on the Snow Boot product page, and it said there was no generative AI answer available. It will speculate if Amazon chair Jeff Bezos will wear the boots, but only if you ask in the context of the item. Amazon has been rolling out several AI features on its retail arm over the past few months. It now uses large language models to generate summaries of product reviews, detect fake reviews, and recommend clothing sizing options to customers. The company has been working on generative AI, mainly through its enterprise cloud division, AWS. In November, AWS launched its Titan image generator, which lets companies use text-to-image prompts to generate pictures. It also offers enterprise customers access to other popular foundational AI models, like Meta's Llama 2, Anthropic's Claude, and Stability AI's Stable Diffusion. Mark Zuckerberg's new goal is creating artificial general intelligence. OpenAI's stated mission is to create this artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Demis Hassabis, the leader of Google's AI efforts, has the same goal. Now, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg is entering the race. While he doesn't have a timeline for when AGI will be reached, or even an exact definition for it, he wants to build it. At the same time, he's shaking things up by moving Meta's AI research group, FAIR, to the same part of the company as the team building generative AI products across Meta's apps. The goal is for Meta's AI breakthroughs to more directly reach its billions of users. We've come to this view that in order to build the products that we want to build, we need to build for general intelligence, Zuckerberg tells me in an exclusive interview. I think that's important to convey because a lot of the best researchers want to work on the more ambitious problems. Here, Zuckerberg is saying the quiet part aloud. The battle for AI talent has never been more fierce, with every company in the space vying for an extremely small pool of researchers and engineers. Those with the needed expertise can command eye-popping compensation packages to the tune of over $1 million a year. CEOs like Zuckerberg are routinely pulled in to try to win over a key recruit or keep a researcher from defecting to a competitor. We're used to there being pretty intense talent wars, he says. But there are different dynamics here, with multiple companies going for the same profile, and a lot of VCs and folks throwing money at different projects, making it easy for people to start different things externally. After talent, the scarcest resource in the AI field is the computing power needed to train and run large models. On this topic, Zuckerberg is ready to flex. He tells me that by the end of this year, Meta will own more than 340,000 of NVIDIA's H100 GPUs, the industry's chip of choice for building generative AI. External research has pegged Meta's H100 shipments for 2023 at 150,000, a number that is tied only with Microsoft's shipments and at least 3 times larger than everyone else's. When its NVIDIA A100s and other AI chips are accounted for, Meta will have a stockpile of almost 600,000 GPUs by the end of 2024, according to Zuckerberg. We have built up the capacity to do this at a scale that may be larger than any other individual company, he says. I think a lot of people may not appreciate that. No one working on AI, including Zuckerberg, seems to have a clear definition for AGI, or an idea of when it will arrive. I don't have a one-sentence pithy definition, he tells me. You can quibble about if general intelligence is akin to human-level intelligence, or is it like human plus, or is it some far future super-intelligence? But to me, the important part is actually the breadth of it, which is that intelligence has all these different capabilities where you have to be able to reason and have intuition. He sees its eventual arrival as being a gradual process rather than a single moment. I'm not actually that sure that some specific threshold will feel that profound. As Zuckerberg explains it, Meta's new, broader focus on AGI was influenced by the release of Llama 2, its latest large language model, last year. The company didn't think that the ability for it to generate code made sense for how people would use a LLM in Meta's apps. But it's still an important skill to develop for building smarter AI. So Meta built it anyway. One hypothesis was that coding isn't that important because it's not like a lot of people are going to ask coding questions in WhatsApp, he says. It turns out that coding is actually really important, structurally, for having the LLMs be able to understand the rigor and hierarchical structure of knowledge, and just generally have more of an intuitive sense of logic. Meta is training Llama 3 now, and it will have code-generating capabilities, he says. Like Google's new Gemini model, another focus is on more advanced reasoning and planning abilities. Llama 2 wasn't an industry-leading model, but it was the best open-source model, he says. With Llama 3 and beyond, our ambition is to build things that are at the state of the art and eventually the leading models in the industry. The question of who gets to eventually control AGI is a hotly debated one, as the near implosion of OpenAI recently showed the world. Zuckerberg wields total power at Meta thanks to his voting control over the company's stock. That puts him in a uniquely powerful position that could be dangerously amplified if AGI is ever achieved. His answer is the playbook that Meta has followed so far for Llama, which can, at least for most use cases, be considered open source. I tend to think that one of the bigger challenges here will be that if you build something that's really valuable, then it ends up getting very concentrated, Zuckerberg says. Whereas if you make it more open, then that addresses a large class of issues that might come about from unequal access to opportunity and value. So that's a big part of the whole open source vision. Without naming names, he contrasts Meta's approach to that of OpenAI's, which began with the intention of open sourcing its models, but has becoming increasingly less transparent. There were all these companies that used to be open, used to publish all their work, and used to talk about how they were going to open source all their work. I think you see the dynamic of people just realizing, hey, this is going to be a really valuable thing. Let's not share it. While Sam Altman and others espouse the safety benefits of a more closed approach to AI development, Zuckerberg sees a shrewd business play. Meanwhile, the models that have been deployed so far have yet to cause catastrophic damage, he argues. The biggest companies that started off with the biggest leads are also, in a lot of cases, the one is scaling the most for saying you need to put in place all these guardrails on how everyone else builds AI, he tells me. I'm sure some of them are legitimately concerned about safety, but it's a hell of a thing how much it lines up with the strategy. Zuckerberg has his own motivations, of course. The end result of his open vision for AI is still a concentration of power, just in a different shape. Meta already has more users than almost any company on Earth, and a wildly profitable social media business. AI features can arguably make his platforms even stickier and more useful. And if Meta can effectively standardize the development of AI by releasing its models openly, its influence over the ecosystem will only grow. There's another wrinkle. If AGI is ever achieved at Meta, the call to open source, it or not, is ultimately Zuckerberg's. He's not ready to commit either way. For as long as it makes sense and is the safe and responsible thing to do, then I think we will generally want to lean towards open source, he says. Obviously, you don't want to be locked into doing something because you said you would. Tim Cook confirms Apple's generative AI features are coming later this year. During Apple's quarterly earnings call on Thursday afternoon, CEO Tim Cook mentioned that the company is working on generative AI software features that will make their way to customers later this year. That aligns with reporting from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, who said recently that iOS 18 could be the biggest update in the operating system's history. Cook's teases, he mentioned generative AI several times, but never got specific, seem to confirm that we're in for a big release this fall. As we look ahead, we will continue to invest in these and other technologies that will shape the future. That includes artificial intelligence, where we continue to spend a tremendous amount of time and effort, and we're excited to share the details of our ongoing work in that space later this year, Cook said in his prepared remarks. Analysts tried to press Cook for more details, but he didn't offer much. Our MO, if you will, has always been to do work and then talk about work, and not to get out in front of ourselves. And so we're going to hold that to this as well. But we have got some things that we're incredibly excited about that we'll be talking about later this year. AI software features ranging from advanced photo manipulation to word processing enhancements have been a major selling point of smartphones from Google and Samsung in recent months. It's rare for Apple to telegraph its upcoming moves, so you can take this as a sign that the company has ambitious plans to integrate AI into its software platforms, iOS, iPadOS, and macOS, later this year. Let me just say that I think there's a huge opportunity for Apple with generative AI and with AI without getting into many more details or getting out ahead of myself, Cook said to conclude the call.